And happy Sunday, everyone who's tuning in to watch me live on this space, or if you're tuning in later. Thank you so much for joining this and watching this and giving me your support in form of views and all of that. Please know that whoever you are, I do appreciate the support so much. Okay. So just making sure that everything is okay before we get started. Awesome. So as always, my name is Eva. I'm an intuitive healer. I do work with two modalities, one of which is called Soul Element, which is based on working with Akashic Records. And the second modality I do work with is called Quantum Flow, which is all about rewiring your nervous system. So if you're curious about this and how they can actually help you accelerate your healing and really connect you back to your true self and awaken your full potential, make sure that you stick until the end of the video because I'm going to be explaining more of how these two powerful modalities can actually be a great addition to your healing journey. Okay. So I want to know, first of all, how has your week been? So if you're tuning in to watch this later on or even now, I'd love to know down in the comments how your week has been. For me, it's been crazy couple of weeks. I mean, since last week, last Sunday, I addressed a bit of it of what was happening in my country, and same thing is happening now. Kenya is going through growing pains, and I feel like we are emerging from that, and it's crazy, But I'm not going to talk about that today. Today, I want to focus on something else. But all I will say is that it's been a learning moment for me, honestly, and I'll explain more on that. I don't want to focus on that today because I addressed a lot of this, in my opinion, last Sunday. So if you haven't checked out the video, make sure you go back and check the last video from this. I'm gonna try and leave a link to that at the end of this video so that you can catch up on what my opinion was last Sunday. Okay. So today I want to talk about breaking cycles and why is it that why is it that most people assume that surface kind of solutions, I call them band-aid solutions, and I know I've addressed this at some point in my channel, but I feel like right now is a beautiful time to just share that message again because I think as a society we're going through a huge awakening all over the world, not just in my country, but literally all over the world because we're seeing so many things being unearthed and so many fingers being pointed and all of that. Like it's crazy, right? We're going through a huge awakening just to, get to a better place, right? And we always go through this kind of pain whenever we're going through a huge kind of like shift in our consciousness, in our reality, and all of that. There's always gonna be this kind of pain. But the reason I want to talk about like where I see some people usually focused on is the fact that you start pointing fingers at other people as the problem, as the reason why you're going through whatever you're going through right now. And in no way am I here to bash any of that because we are on different stages of our healing journey, of our personal development journey. And I will assume that if you're watching this right now and maybe you resonate with this right now, you will know that part of the healing journey is taking responsibility for how you might have created your problem in your life, okay? Which I know for some people who might watch this might just want to attack me for saying this, but the reality is that when things happen in the external world, it's always a reflection of who you are on the inside. And a lot of people now are willing to accept that, including even for the larger society, right? Right now, you see people pointing fingers at leaders, at each other about policies that were made, policies that were not made, and all of that. And then you forget that collectively, um, we allowed ourselves to be lied to and taken advantage of. But the minute you start pointing fingers and saying that this people or that person is a problem and not taking responsibility in your own life, the only thing that ends up doing is getting you back to where you started from. So I say this in the last video that sometimes you can be pointing fingers, right? And you're not addressing the root cause of whatever problem that is. So yes, you might go through the illusion of getting rid of the problem, but you're always gonna find yourself right back where you started from. And that's what I want to address, okay? So picture this. If you had a tree that's gotten infected, let's say in a forest or something, okay? And someone on the outside, and assuming that this infection actually spreads to the rest of the tree, so meaning that the branches, the stems, all of that, they start getting infected in some way. Someone looking at it on the outside might decide that, oh, I've seen an infected branch, so let me cut it off, thinking that that's going to solve the problem. But does it really? Because you find that when you address any kind of problem surface wise, yes, you might go through that illusion that once I break off this branch, then the problem is solved. But the problem is so much bigger than that. If the roots are the ones who are causing that spread of infection, and you've only addressed the little part that you see that is visible to you, right? What happens then with the roots? You haven't addressed the problem at the roots, right? So the roots are still going to keep on spreading the infection. So it doesn't matter the number of times you cut off the branch, right, to stave off this infection, it will still keep coming back over and over and over again. And what usually happens in those kind of cases that if you allow this to continue for a long period of time, guess what? The infection is going to get to a place where you can't solve it just by simply cutting off a branch. It's going to become so much bigger where you're going to find that when usually you could just cut off one branch, now you have to probably cut off like 3 or 5 branches, right? And then it becomes bigger, and now it's the entire tree that's infected and nothing good is coming out of that. And the worst thing is that it can even spread to the other trees, probably which are in the forest, all because you were unwilling to address the problem at the root cause of it. Okay. So in this case, I would say like assuming just trying to tie it together with your life. For example, if you have a habit of attracting bad kind of partners, right? And you assume that just because maybe someone was mistreating you, maybe lied to you, maybe was abusive to you in some way, that just simply by getting rid of that person, then that addresses the problem. And, you can just go find a new person who's going to treat you better. But, and I stand to be corrected on this, if you've done this in your life without actually pausing to look at why and how you might have contributed to being that kind of a bad relationship, guess what? Usually the next person you attract is going to be just as bad or even worse than whatever you left. Okay. So you'll always find yourself just attracting the same kind of partners who maybe lie to you, who maybe cheat on you and all of that. And always wondering like, why do I always find myself in this kind of situation? But the reason is you have not addressed that at the root cause. And this applies to any kind of situation you're going through in your life. The minute you start pointing fingers on the outside and not really taking a hard look at yourself of how you contributed to it, trust me, whatever it is, chances are you're going to fail. Okay. You might go through the experience of having solved the problem, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. Okay. So you'll keep on attracting the same kind of people and still thinking that they are the problem. I'm not the problem. Why? I just happened to find myself in bad relationships. But if you haven't actually answered the question of why do I keep on attracting these people into my life, they're gonna keep on coming harder and faster at you, right? And getting worse and worse and worse until it gets to a place where now the entire forest is affected. So it gets to a place that is not as easily managed by you just getting rid of this person. And by then, it's going to be too late. So sometimes you might assume that, yes, maybe by cutting off the branch, I'm still, at least it's going to keep me safer. Still, I'm gonna harvest some fruits from this tree, right? So you're so scared that if I uproot this root, then it means that I lose the entire harvest that I would have gotten from this particular tree, right? But if you allow for that infection to keep on spreading, what not happens right now, you're going to end up in losing the entire harvest just because you were unwilling to make that choice of addressing the root, uprooting the problem or treating the roots or whatever was the cause of that infection. Just because of that, you end up losing everything. And this is what happens with most people, that you are going to allow the problem to keep on festering and festering and festering until it gets to a point where you can't, whatever solutions you've been using to kind of like make that problem go away, they're no longer working. And now you end up in a place worse than what you would have had to deal with Had you actually dealt with it firsthand? This is why I'm talking to you today, Anytime that you always address the problem and not address the consciousness that created the problem, it's never going to work. There's a certain book I read some time back. I think it was last year. It's called the Theo Uber Prophecy, and I never know how to pronounce that. So, anyway, but basically, in the book basically outlines the history of our world and all of that. Like, basically, it's a beautiful book for anyone who's open to that and really getting to understand the true history, not the ones we've been taught, but the true history of the world, born from one perspective. And basically, in one of the stories, they were talking about um, a certain community that had started off really good, super united, under the, what is it called? Under the love and peace and compassion to all and all of that banner. But then they separated themselves, just a small group of people decided to separate themselves from the whole group to kind of like see if they could set up a different society elsewhere, which they did. But now the problem that happened is that they got certain leaders who are only interested in serving their own interests, not in serving the people. So the leaders actually managed to manipulate the people so much. They started engaging in certain practices that were going against human rights and all of that at that time, right? And it got so bad. And I'm assuming that, so in this book, they got a higher power intervening for them. And what the higher power did was that they actually ended up killing the leaders that were the problem. So they ended up getting rid of those and saved the people that, were being taken advantage of by the so-called leaders, right? So they separated both of them, and the leaders actually ended up, you know, getting lost, losing their lives, and all of that. But what happened was that that solution didn't last for long. Guess what? The problem was the people. They're the ones who had listened to this. They're the ones who had allowed themselves to be manipulated. So before, within no time, they were right back where they were. Because again, they never addressed the consciousness that created that problem. So sometimes you could look at it again, like as I was saying with the partners, that it's the partner who's the problem. So let me get rid of that person and everything is going to be okay. Yes, it will serve as a solution for just a small period of time until you get the other partner, right? And then you find that, oh no, I wish I knew. Probably that other person was way better than whoever you even have in front of you. So that you'll always have that. Okay. So my advice to you is that really get raw and real with yourself, that anything that happens in your external reality is always a reflection of who you are on the inside, whether you're willing to accept that right now or not. Okay. Maybe if you're watching this and maybe you're like, you don't know what you're talking about, that's okay. I completely respect that point of view because you might not be ready to accept that truth. But I'm sure whatever you're gonna watch this, and I'm hoping that anyone who's tuning in to watch this video will actually resonate with that and really start taking responsibility for whatever they see on the outside. Okay. So don't look at the leaders, don't look at the situation and say they are the problem. They might be the problem, but the truth is, a lot of us created that consciousness that allowed them to exist. And funny thing is that even in the current world we're living in right now, it's still a divided society where there are people who have a view that this is how this problem should be addressed. Other people are thinking this and all. So still a division, right? So sometimes you might be watching me and saying that, hey, I'm taking responsibility, but I don't think anyone else on the outside gets it, gets where I'm coming from. And here's the thing, like you can never control someone else's thoughts or someone else's views or perspective and all of that. You have no control of that. And at some point, you have to just accept that reality. There are people who are always going to be comfortable just with their eyes closed and going through life with their eyes closed. So if you spend all your energy trying to save these people, what energy are you gonna have to be making a better life and a better experience for yourself? You're always going to be lost because you're going to be again focused on the outside that let me try and save these people, let me try and educate these people. That's not your job. Trust me, they will figure it out when the time is right for them. This is the other thing. Like when you're trying to force ideologies down someone's throat, yes, you might go through that experience where someone says, "Oh, okay, fine, I get it." Maybe to just shut you up, or maybe they're afraid and they're like, "You know what? I'm just gonna agree with you just because." But on the inside, this person actually doesn't understand or even support anything that you're doing. In which case, have you actually solved the problem? No, because again, that underlying consciousness believes in whatever is happening, and you have to allow for everyone to go through their process of releasing those kind of ideologies. We're not always going to grow at the same pace. I don't think the world we live in is designed for that. So yes, there are people who are sadly going to be left behind in this movement. There are people who are going to go along with it. There are people who are just going to go through it maybe a bit slower than you, and that's completely fine. Remember that I will say this to someone who's maybe conflicted on what happens with my family. They don't believe in what I believe in. That's okay. That's their process. Remember, at some point, you were right where that person was. So never forget that fact. So when you sit down and say that, oh, now the awakened one and the rest of you are wrong, and you guys need to listen to me, guess what? What are you doing to the other person? I'm sure no one actually did that to you. You kind of like came into your own realization in your own way. And the same kind of patience that you had with yourself in this journey, you need to extend that same patience and understanding to other people. Okay. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be forgiving, be understanding, be compassionate. Make peace with the fact that not everyone is always going to agree with you, and that's completely okay. Focus on you, focus on being the best that you can be. And trust me, whatever needs to happen, you will always notice that shift in the external world the minute you start healing whatever is on the inside. And again, let me just put a disclaimer on that. I'm not saying that the entire everything that we're going through as humanity necessarily has to touch on who you are on the inside, because again, remember, it's not how the world operates. It's not only based on your perspective, right? We still have the collective consciousness that we have to deal with. So yes, you could kind of like separate yourself from that and take on the role of the observer and just watch everything happen, and not allow yourself to get stuck into the negative kind of things of judgment, of blame games, of attacking each other. Don't allow yourself to be pulled back in to the matrix, as people say. Allow yourself to just stand out. Focus on you. If at all changing the society or trying to change other people's views seems like such a tall order, it's completely okay for you to focus on you. And my hope is that I wish everyone could just let go of the outside and just focus on themselves and stop wasting and getting distracted and sabotaging themselves based on whatever is going on in the world. Literally, sometimes the perspective you have to embody is that whatever is happening on the side, if you don't have the mindset of, I can do something to change this, is it has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to be all of these things. I'm just going to take an observer mode and focus on being the best that I can be. Trust me, in the long run, that will actually save or help the collective more than if you allowed yourself to get sucked into the noise and the chaos and just all of that, and just putting your energy and focus on the things that we honestly, I believe that a lot of us want to change. Okay. So I hope I'm speaking to one of you. If I am, please do share your opinion, do share your thoughts down below in the comment box. I'm always happy to hear and learn from you and just hear different perspectives and just see if we can learn from each other. Okay. And if you're new to my channel and you like the kind of content I do share out here, I always go live every Sunday, right? And I always share different community posts within the week. But I do want to learn more from me. You like the kind of content, you like me and all of that, please do support the channel by subscribing, and also click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any time I actually go live. My opinion is, or my wish will be, if you're watching this, that I do get to meet you someday. Okay. So I did promise that I'm going to share at the end of the video what the two modalities can actually do for your life. So remember, I said that I am an intuitive healer. I do work with two modalities, one of which is the Akashic Records, or Soul Element, which is based on the Akashic Records. And basically, the modality helps you get in touch with who you actually are, your true soul identity. Remember that you're not your physical body, you're not your name, you're not your gender, you're not all of that. All of this is material reality. And guess what? You get to get rid of this the minute you transition to the other side. So it's so relevant to just getting you in touch with who you actually are, the you that continues existing once this physical reality ceases to exist for you, particularly. Okay, so it gets you to connect with who you are, gets you to identify the particular soul gifts that you have. And here's the thing, right? If you're watching this, there is a particular set of skills that you were created to have, and that well, basically you were supposed to leverage to create a better human experience for yourself. The only problem is that a lot of people lose sight of who they are based on what society tells them they're supposed to be. They lose the authentic self expression, or assume that just because that other person is doing things better in their own way, that I need to do that and probably I'll find success. And the minute you find yourself trying to be something that you're not, guess what? It just creates more dysfunction, more chaos in your life. And sometimes you might find yourself in a place thinking like, but I'm trying to be just like that person. So how come that person is busy being successful and I'm here suffering? The reason is you're trying to be something that you're not. So it's so relevant to actually connecting you with who you actually are, getting you to identify the particular soul gifts that you have that you can leverage to create a human experience. And the best part about soul alignment is that it helps you connect to a particular past life that your spirit or your soul started making negative choices that are currently affecting you right now. So a lot of the things that you might be experiencing in your life, the people, the experiences that you've had in this lifetime have probably no, I want to say nothing to do with anything that has occurred in your life. It's probably connected to a past life that your particular soul started making negative choices that went against who your soul actually was. And for you to resolve that, for you to resolve the negative karma that is imprinted in your soul blueprint, your soul is always getting you into the same kind of experiences, attracting the same kind of people as you experienced in the first time round in an attempt to help you resolve that. Most people, because they have no awareness of what choices they made that went against who they are, they keep on making the same mistakes again and again and again and creating this perpetual cycle of, you know, attracting the same kind of people, attracting the same kind of experiences. So if you want to know what choices your soul made in that lifetime that you're still repeating right now and creating all of this negative experiences you have in your life, you can actually discover that with the soul realm and reading. The next thing is that you get to heal all of this by clearing all this negative karmic cycle that's within your blueprint, just clearing them energetically so that you no longer you stop becoming a vibrational match to who you are not. Right. So now going forward, based on the awareness, based on the knowledge that you will gain from the reading, now you're empowered to start making different choices so that you don't create or take yourself back to where you've come from. Okay. So remember, the whole point is to stop, to break the cycle so that you're no longer experiencing the same pain over and over again, but really being intentional with this is who I am, this is what I'm supposed to do, and these are the choices I'm going to make going forward to create a better experience for myself. So if this resonates with you, maybe you want to say yes to the reading, you can check out the links down below and book a session with me. You can go ahead and book a mini soul realignment. If probably you're not like fully convinced that this is the right fit for you, the mini soul realignment that will be a beautiful taste of what that is. Maybe if you're not ready to make a full commitment, sorry. But if you just feel like, yes, this is for me, this is what I need, and this resonates with you, you can go ahead and book a full session with me. And I hope I will see you on the other side. Or if you have more questions on this, maybe you're still not sure, like 100% whether this is a fit for you, you can go ahead and book a discovery call with me, or connect with me on Facebook or Instagram. I'm always happy to connect with you. Okay. So the second modality I do work with is called quantum flow. The quantum flow is all about rewiring your nervous system. What a lot of people don't know is that a lot of the traumatic experiences you've had, the emotional wounds, the pain, all of that that you've experienced all the way from childhood, and for some people even from your mother's womb, right? It actually gets imprinted and recorded within your nervous system. So for most people, you find that how they're reacting and how they're operating through in life is basically based on who they were. And who basically is not who they are right now, but because you have that memory within your nervous system, you find yourself reacting to certain situations in the same way. If you've ever noticed yourself probably having an overblown reaction to a very small trigger, right? There's a reason for that. It's probably that particular small trigger is touching on a core wound that's still within your nervous system. Most people assume that addressing this kind of problems is only a mind level thing. So focus on working on your mindset and rewiring your mental patterns and all of that. But if you're not also addressing your physical well-being, your body, if you're not adding your body to this healing equation, guess what? You find yourself taking longer and longer and longer to heal from these experiences. And it really doesn't have to be like that. Quantum flow actually accelerates that process for you because it's combining both the mind and the body in your healing journey, helping you release all those memories, all the stuck trauma within your bodies, and really freeing up energy so that now going forward, you have more and more energy to actually create more of what you need and not having it stuck within your body and keeping you in those patterns of the past that you're trying so hard to walk away from. So what soul realm, oh sorry, quantum flow does is that it works on different levels of your being. So your physical, your mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic well-being. So it actually helps you to manifest well-being in all these areas. Okay. So if you're curious about this again, maybe you want to say yes to a session with me, you can go ahead and book a session with me down below in the description box. If you have more questions on this, you can again, as always, connect with me on Facebook or Instagram or go ahead and book a discovery call with me, and I'm always happy to answer you. Or, and wait, I forgot to answer this, that with quantum flow, it's not a one session solves everything that you've ever experienced in your life. Remember, you've used a lot of energy to create who you are right now. And it's going to take an equal, if not stronger, force to break those patterns down. So it's not a one session solving everything kind of situation. Like quantum flow needs to be adopted as a lifetime. So my advice to you, if you're curious about this, is one session is not just going to be enough. You need to be more than one session. And this is not a market, okay, it is a marketing gimmick. So let me not say that. But basically, if you're not doing it constantly, yes, one session can heal a lot, but it won't give you the kind of lasting results that will be beneficial to you in the long run. So my advice to you is if you have to book a session, I prefer that you book more than one session, and I do have offers for that, so you can check down in the link down below. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your support. Again, make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Subscribe and also click on the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any time I go live or even on any of my posts. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next Sunday at the same time. Bye for now and enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe, stay growing and evolving, and I love to hear from you.